Great. Okay, well, welcome everyone to this fortnightly meeting. We've got 3 people presenting today. So we've got Yola, who's come along from the Employment Skills and Adult Learning Service at Hackney, is going to be speaking first. We've got Caroline Hickey from Health Watch, and then finally Josie Crisp from Tenancy Sustainment is going to talk about the work that that service does, and at the end we'll have a sort of open forum for everyone to raise any questions or concerns. So I am going to stop there and pass over to Yola. Please take it away.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me along, John. Although obviously, like you said, it was a last-minute invite. It kind of works perfectly for us in adult education. So just to introduce myself to everybody, I'm Yola. I'm one of the curriculum leads within the adult education team, which is part of the wider employment skills and adult learning service. So we've just finished one academic year and we've just started a brand new academic year. So whilst all my teachers are off having holidays and enjoying time with their families, I'm kind of stuck in the office or today in a cafe trying to get everything in place for them coming back in September. So if I just share PowerPoint with you. Okay, hopefully you can all see that.
Yeah, we've got it.
Yep. Okay, so within adult learning, obviously, like all of the other service areas within the council, we make sure all of the courses which we offer align really to the Mayor's promises. So we look at fairer and safer, greener and healthier, and also every child. Overall, what that means is essentially we deliver courses in English and maths, ICT and digital skills, vocational skills. We also deliver ESOL and family and community learning. Within my role, I'm responsible for the first 3 strands you see there. So English and maths, we deliver up to GCSE. We also deliver with IT and digital skills up to level 3. Until recently, we've been limited because of government funding and could only deliver up to level 1. But we've just recently received some additional funding that will now allow us to deliver up to level 3, because obviously digital is one of the main and one of the big employers within Hackney at the moment. Similarly with vocational studies, we also deliver that up to level 3 in a wide variety of vocational areas. And then I have a colleague who is responsible for ESOL, community and family learning. So at the moment, our family learning and community learning is relatively small, but we're looking in the next, or in this academic year, of actually pulling up our provision and offering more opportunities for people. Just to give you an idea of what we actually kind of quietly achieve, but for some reason don't speak too much about. So in the past year, we've helped over 2,000 learners through programs with us, and we have a 92% achievement rate. What I would say is the majority of people who actually drop out of our courses drop out simply because they have jobs. So it's not actually a depressing 8%. It would be lovely if they could all stay on board, but a lot of our learners actually find work. Linked in with that, like it says there, we've helped just under 900 learners actually complete a vocational skills course, which hopefully will help them find the sort of work that they'd like to get in, or at least put some at the start of a journey into getting into the careers they'd like to be in. And in this past year, we've helped 500 learners actually engage in maths and English. We're obviously waiting for our GCSE results to come out in the next couple of weeks, so hopefully they'll be as successful as our courses normally are. At the moment, apart from our ordinary courses, we have 2 new funding opportunities that are coming up through the GLA. So we have the Jobs and Skills for Londoners funding, which is a 3-year funding programme in total. But we're actually one of only 2 councils within London who've received this funding. All of the other organisations that have received it are private or charity organisations. So we're quite proud of the fact that we're one of those 2 councils to receive it. So we've received funding in the areas of digital skills, health and social care, green skills, creativity, and hospitality. And the funding is specifically to provide education for residents up to level 3 and essentially put in place any other courses they might need in order to help them achieve that level 3. So in relation to that, because it's fairly new funding, we've just completed the first stage of our tender process. So we'll actually agree which providers we'll be working with to deliver those courses, hopefully by the end of August, beginning of September. So you'll start to see more publicity around pushing those courses. The other funding that we've got, which is already in place, is the government's multiply funding. So again, that's another 3-year project and is all about helping to improve numeracy skills nationally. We've already started our provision for this. So we are using the funding to cover the cost of our business startup course. So we've already done that successfully. Last year, we took 90 residents in total through the business startup course. We just finished another course this week where we took another 28 residents through business startup. We're also putting some additional sessions in relation to parental support. So helping parents, not just with basic maths, but also helping them in knowing how to fill in financial forms as well. So that's through an organisation called Apex, who are based on the Kingsmead estate. And we're also working with an organisation called Core Arts in Homerton to work with those more hard to reach residents, specifically those who have mental health issues. So they're 2 of the latest pots of funding that have come up, which, as I said, Jobs and Skills for Londoners is just about to start. So hopefully that'll be successful. But Multiply has already started. And again, it's shown itself to be quite successful with regards to the delivery that we've chosen. So obviously being adult learning, we depend upon our enrolment and information sessions. So we have some coming up in September for the latest round of our courses that start as part of the new academic year. So we've got the times and dates in front of us. Apologies for the colouring. I didn't realise some of the dates were in green, so I'll correct that before we actually send them over to John. So we have 8 sessions in total running from the HSC. We then, over the summer and also into September, have some sessions running at the local libraries. All of our courses are totally free of charge. So all residents are eligible for them, also residents from the surrounding boroughs. Our courses are also free of charge to members of staff. So if you have members of staff on your teams, or you're aware of people who, for instance, would like, to achieve their GCSEs or redo qualifications that they haven't done for a while, we can help them along the way with that. We also run a number of short online courses where you can get access to a course which takes a lot of people, maybe about half an hour to an hour to complete it, and then you can book in with us to complete an exam. So they all give you level 1 and level 2 short CPD qualifications that actually we've already taken quite a few members of staff through, but have also been quite successful because they help with things like safeguarding or money management, British values, similar topics to those, but they've also been quite successful. But again, you can find out information about them at any of our enrolment sessions. And then just a last thing to mention, which I know Jackie, one of my colleagues, has been at this presentation before. We also run an initiative called Digital Buddies, which at the moment is running out of 3 libraries and also out of some schools and children's centres. But it's an opportunity for residents to come along and get help in relation to digital inclusion and just general digital support. So we can help people with anything from setting up their own email account, how you use things like Google Meet and Teams. We can help them with filling in application forms or writing their CVs. A good example of a recent success for us is we had a gentleman who came in who didn't actually know how to use computers, but was a local artist. And within a few months, we got him up and running on the internet. He's now actually working on a project for the Saatchi Gallery, where he's responsible for uploading artwork onto their website. So it shows really how that couple of hours a week can potentially help people improve their digital skills, but also obviously get them into work as well. But yeah, we have our new courses starting in September. They run throughout the year. We generally work to the same holidays as the schools, just to align and make sure that our residents who are parents aren't having to find childcare whilst their children are off school as well. But throughout the year, we have a number of other opportunities for courses that come up. So as that funding comes through, we'll be publicising it in staff headlines, for instance, and some of the other newsletters that go around. But yeah, that's what we do in adult learning. Has anybody got any questions or anything?
Josie, did you have a question?
Yeah. Hi, Josie.
Hi, Ella. You all right?
I'm fine, thank you.
You got your presentation over. Well done. I just want to ask, can we refer people or can we advise people to go along and sort of look at what's available, especially the IT 2-hour drop, the 2-hour sessions? That's quite useful, especially as so many benefits are online now.
Yeah, so the you can advise anybody to go along. Because we work with volunteers, at the minute they're having like a brief summer holiday. So what I'll do is when I send the slides over to John, I'll just put a quick note on the digital buddy session when each of the volunteers is actually back. We'll have members of staff in each of the libraries for the digital buddy slot for the next few weeks, who will be able to help, but the actual volunteers, really, who are the champions of it, won't be back until the end of the month, beginning of September. But yeah, you can refer anybody to come along. That we can literally help with near enough anything to do with what it's to do with getting
online now. And if you're not good at online, it can be a real barrier. So that's really useful. Yeah. Thanks.
You're more than welcome.
Any other questions? I actually had a question. Do you ever do any of the people sort of delivering the sort of digital inclusion and the like upskilling of people, do they ever go to BCS partners like organizations and their locations in person to sort of work with residents there, or do people sort of have to come to the council spaces, if you see what I mean?
So we've tried focusing on, for instance, the libraries, because it was one of our key partnerships for adult learning and employment skills to get involved more with the libraries. We have tried identifying other venues as well, so we're always open to other venues. What we really struggle with is volunteers. We take volunteers on, but they do that awful thing of finding jobs. So they're a volunteer for a month and then they get a job and leave us. So
Yeah.
we literally just struggle with the turnover of volunteers. We're trying to take on more volunteers, but it really is that pesky job that keeps getting in our way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So same as I said with our courses, yeah, everybody leaves because they've got a job, and as much as we'd like them to achieve, and we try and get them in for exams early, people just keep getting them jobs and spoiling everything. So we're doing our best, but yeah, it's all positive stuff. It's just, they go and get jobs, which annoys everybody, but actually it's for the best in the long run.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Genevieve.
Thank you. Good stuff, Yola. Your stats are amazing.
Thank you.
So wonderful to hear. How do you let the community know that you need volunteers?
So this is one of the areas really where employment skills and adult learning doesn't go too well. It comes down to marketing. So like some of the other services, at the minute we really struggle. So we have been advertising, for instance, with CVS. We get most of our volunteers actually from our courses. So especially when people are doing the higher level IT courses, they become really interested in volunteering, and we've started taking volunteers on from some of the community groups we work with. So we go to some over 50s clubs. So we always try and find people within those clubs who are willing to volunteer going forward. But if anybody has any other suggestions, I'm more than open if you've got any ideas as to where we can try and find people. I think one of the things is we get a lot of people who come forward. Because it's through the council, obviously we have to do DBS checks and everything else. Because those DBS checks sometimes take so long, people lose a little bit of interest. So we try our best to keep people engaged during that time we're waiting for the DBS to come through. But obviously some people's interest just wanes slightly and they drop out. But yeah, we try as much as we can, but I'll be the first person to admit our marketing and our push for certain things kind of lets us down because we simply don't have that much resource in it.
Well, that's a shame. I was, especially the older generation, of which I'm very aware. Fortunately, my IT skills are not too terribly bad, but I would hope that, organizations like Age UK and some of the other ones that deal with, once that member of that age group has learned some basic skills, that they should be able to also volunteer, because when you've got your peers in there, you don't feel like, I need my great grandchild to come and show me how to open up my laptop or even do an email or use my phone. It's embarrassing. So when you've got someone who's at least close to you in age, within 20 years, 50 to 70 right in there.
Yeah, one of the not so much a struggle, but one of the things that occurred, obviously during COVID, there was a big push for digital inclusion. Since COVID has been over, a lot of those organizations that were put in place have lost funding, or generally the funders have lost interest. So one of the things we've really had to fight for within the council is actually just keeping digital buddies going. So at the moment, we essentially just fund it through our own adult education budget, which in theory means we run it for nothing, and it's just myself and the IT curriculum manager overseeing it, and that's simply because the focus within reason has actually been lost. But actually the problem's a lot bigger than it was during COVID, because you've accessed so many people who need that help and support to get online.
You operate at the HSC too? Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, we do it at HSC.
Well, I could do, if I'm in the office that day, I could come down and volunteer for an hour, couldn't I?
Yeah, you could do. What I'll do, Genevieve, I'll send you a quick email after this, and then we can discuss it a little bit further if you'd be interested in that.
Thanks so much, Yola.
You're more than welcome. So Penny, we have essentially one flyer, which I'm more than happy to pass on to you. I can have some hard copies of them sent over to you as well, but if you could message me with your contact details and what specifically you want, whether it's the electronic version or some hard copies, I can have them sent over to you. I think that was the only other question that came up.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any other questions before we move on to the next item? No? Okay. Well, thanks so much, Sheila. That was really good. And it's worth coming along as you've got another volunteer. So
thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers. All right. Just looking back at my agenda, we are moving on to Caroline, who's come along from Health Watch. So yeah, please take it away, Caroline. Thanks for coming along.
Hi, thanks for asking me. Sorry I wasn't available the last couple of times, but I was on leave. Yeah. Okay, so I've got a really short presentation. I don't like to do more than 8 slides because it bores people. Fortunately, this is 10, so I've crossed my own marker off there. I'm going to talk about, some people have heard me already talk about the co-production work. What I'm going to bring is an opportunity for residents, tenants, patients, young people to be involved in a public rep program. I'm running the public rep program. It's public representatives, and it's whereby people in the community, local residents, can be involved. There's reward and recognition, there's upskilling, there's development and support. So I've got a short presentation. I believe I just share my screen. Oops. I need a tech support here right now. Hello?
If you go down to at the bottom of your screen, can you see those 8 buttons? If you go to the 5th one from the left, it's the box with the arrow in it.
Right.
If you click that, and then you'll either be able to select a certain tab where you've got your slide, or you can click entire screen.
Right,
click the window that comes up.
There's nothing in my screen. Oh, I do hate this. Okay, I'm going to turn my mic off because I speak.
If you've sent me the slides, Caroline, I can probably share my screen.
I did send them to you actually, John.
Yeah, let me just.
I mean, I don't need them. I can talk without them.
Let me see if I can dig them out. Bear with me one moment.
Sorry about that, everybody. See,
that's all right.
Don't worry.
We don't do Google Meets usually, so
we need to go to Yola to get some additional help with IT.
We're always looking for learners, so feel free to come along.
maybe if I go like that. No, it doesn't work. And I go like that.
I think I've got them. Just waiting for them to open.
Nice one, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry about this, everybody.
Don't worry, it's fine.
Probably just do other work anyway while we're waiting.
Well, I'll carry on anyway. So we have I came into post in April, and we started the recruitment for some new public representatives, and also for public representatives that actually represented the communities. So we were looking at the health inequality situation, the housing situation, the mental health kind of issues in the borough, and we really wanted to recruit people that reflected that lived experience, but also here we go, but also not just lived experience, but also about what could they contribute. So everything that I've done here has been co-produced from the first sessions we have had with our reps. So yeah, do you want to move the next slide on, John? Thank you. So we had a recruitment drive. We put the recruitment out, and it went across all of the networks we could think of. And really that drive was about to let people know what opportunities they could have, but also that we weren't going to recruit people to say, okay, you're going to attend this meeting. We wanted people to know that they would be developed. There would be sessions where we could support them. We have pre-meetings, and also for people whose communication, we wanted to make sure that people could communicate how they wanted to, when they wanted to. So that was really, really important. As I've said, the areas sort of focusing on primary care, mental health, children, young people, maternity voices, and also all of the co-production work that some of you may have seen me do already. All of our public representatives have been behind that. Next slide, John. So yeah, the recruitment, all of the communications were developed with our reps. So we didn't, it was quite an easy piece of work for me, actually. I had to do lots of facilitation. And I said we targeted our recruitment so that we've got better representation from the more diverse communities in Hackney, but particularly the African, Caribbean, Somali and Cypriot speaking communities. And I have to say that the communities they did come on board, which was fantastic. We also realised that of the people we recruited, the skills diverse was really good. We had people that was experienced in healthcare. We have people that had been caring for their parents. Unfortunately, their parents passed, so they were like, what can I do? So, you know, they joined. We've got young people who leaving care experienced. They've joined our program, and it's a continuous recruitment, because as my colleague said previously, people do get jobs. We always celebrate when people get jobs, but that quite often means we lose a fantastic public rep. So next slide. Is that all right, John? So we asked our current public reps what makes a good public rep, and this was their list, which I thought was really good list. Somebody that lives locally, some empathy from the community you're speaking about, from the area your themed area or your skilled experienced area, integrity, that if you're not going to turn up, you let us know. If you are going to turn up, you let us know as well. Some local knowledge, good listening, good communication. You can read, accurate record keeper. Doesn't necessarily mean, sorry, you can read. We like people to have some level of English, but however, we have got other languages at play, which is really good. And also signing. I'm a signer, so we can support people. People that can understand the community and they're really happy to be their voice, and they can take responsibility for their own learning and development. At our first development session, we asked people what their needs were. We had a whole raft of needs, which was really good to meet. And digital skills is 100% across the board. We had to show people like real basics, how to use headphones, how to switch, sort of a tech check. We have a tech check before every meeting. We make sure that people have got all their bits plugged in. It's, you know, with leads and wires, because it's little things that can throw people off a call, and it could just be a connection. And we also, we also decided, well, the reps decided that it people that can check in on themselves, and they've got, you know, they can keep their own progress going, and they've got the intention is to support the system changes and help each other, and people that are willing to learn more. Good note-taking skills. Well, not a lot of people like making notes, but actually there is a skill in taking notes. So yeah, we try and upskill people as much as possible, so that I've got really high expectations. That really helps, so that people will try and meet those expectations, and that really does encourage and empowers people. Somebody's left the meeting. I hope it's not because of my slides. Next slide, please, John. So development, yeah, as I said, we be amazed also at what kind of needs people had. So we have regular development sessions, list of needs, including people. When you recruit people to programs, they need continuous, how are you doing, how's it going, and so they wanted that. So we do fortnightly catch-ups with our system leads. We do weekly socials called Friday sessions, where we talk about anything, what's happened during the week, what's coming up, what other fun things can we do apart from this. And as I said, we do tech checks, and we have supplied tech. So people, that's a barrier. We don't want barriers. So we've supplied technology support for the Maternity Voices partnerships, and the reps that have required headphones, we've given them headphones, pens and papers, with anything that our reps kind of need, we can support with. We also did a really good conversation around meeting etiquette. When is it okay to talk about your own lived experience in a meeting, and when is it not? That's, I think, the biggest kind of grappling people have. And also, if people are critical, how to be a critical friend rather than just critical. So there's a lot of that development stuff, which I really like doing anyway. The meeting preparations, we have pre-meets, so the people and places meeting, if anybody knows about that, it's an important meeting, but it can be quite long. So we do pre-meets, so people are prepared. People can practice questions. People can practice saying what they want. I don't want a barrier to listening to any voices in the work that I'm doing. And then meeting debriefs, and that there's some of the funniest things, which is humorous. You have to have humor working with our people in Hackney, without a doubt. Next slide, John, is that all right? So we have reviews. That's really important as well, because people can be on a program never ending, and actually some people only want to be involved, we realize, for 6 months or until I get a job. So our reviews I carried them out at the beginning of the work, and the reviews were: how long have you been a rep? What highlights would you like to share? Issues that have been a barrier to your attendance, technology, meeting times, health needs. Quite a lot of stuff came out of that. You ask someone an issue, be prepared to listen. And tech needs, I've said a lot about tech needs, but yeah, they were really, really big. For some people, the technology, it really is a massive barrier. And also we asked people to recommit going forward. And that was a really good concrete piece of work, reviewing what they've done as well. And people felt valued. I think that's another thing. We need to put some value in our work. Next slide, John. And also this is some of the examples of the work that our public reps have done with me. They've looked at the City and Hackney Integrated Care Resident Friendly Delivery Plan. That was a really, really good piece of work. They're all really good pieces of work to me, but the Health Inequalities funding session with Anna, that went really well, because people also could think about what's missing where I live. When I go out of my house, what do I see that's a need? Because also, don't forget, our public reps, or when we work with people, volunteers, they're our ears and eyes on the ground, and our voices. That someone might say, oh no, we're doing it like this, and they say, well, actually you're not. The Health Inequality Steering Group, we are part of that. We supply support to the Maternity Voices Partnership. So the outcomes for Black and dual heritage women in maternity services has been quite appalling recently. So we're supporting that. So we get insights. So we've got people who are chairing the Maternity Voices Partnership. We've got people active, talking to women, families when they have delivered. The fantastic piece of work I'm so excited about for August is our period poverty work. And that really is looking at the inequalities that's at play within that whole arena. Young people who can't afford things, sanitary products. So we're doing a whole piece of work with GP services. That's really good for that. And people in places meeting, and some of you came to our event. As I said, our public reps were behind that event. You may not have seen them, but they were so supportive of me. So that's some examples of what we do. It's not by all means, it's not an exhaustive list. It's just some good examples I wanted. Next slide. I think it could be the last one. Oh, some pictures, just so that I'd show I'm not talking. It's real. These are people. These are people that have been part of our program. And next slide, John. could be the last one. The feedback sessions we have. So these are real words. So, you know, we've got people saying they feel better idea of the variety of issues being addressed. You know, actually people can ask questions like, how do you provide for dementia sufferers? This was a deep dive of mental health. And somebody said, I thought the people and place group meeting impressive. Seemed to me these professional people are on top form, grappling with complex issues and finding solutions. I swear I didn't pay them to say that. They really said that and they really believed it, which was great, which was really good to feedback as well. It shows that we can do work with an assurance way. So we like feel assured that we're listening. Next slide, please. Oh, this is the last slide. Anybody interested to make any referrals, a resident, patient, student, your next door neighbour, your colleagues who you work with? I mean, anybody is eligible. And as I said, we really don't want a barrier to people's what they can and can't do. Ability is not a barrier. In fact, it's it will enhance the work, I feel. I'm also happy to be booked. Me and a rep can come to a team meeting and explain what we do. And also I've got a plug that there's a co-production movement going on at the moment. And we've done quite a lot of work around developing a community of practice for co-production. So again, if you get in touch with me, I can send you lots of information. I hope I haven't gone over 15 minutes. And any questions, I'm happy to hear. Thank you, John. Thank you for the help there. Any questions?
Thanks for that, Caroline. That's really good. Oh, Josie's got a question.
It's just a quick one. So you'll hear what I do in a minute, but in my work, if I think someone would be a good candidate for that, I can just refer them to you if they want to do it.
Absolutely. You just send me their email address, and I've got a system that I've developed that. Yeah. Okay.
Because, you know, people, if they get involved themselves, they feel a little bit more in control, don't they? Like
and also if people have got an illness, or they're long term, or they're personalized care, or they're involved with any services, it really kind of empowers their health. It empowers them. It gives them health literacy. It gives them a space where they can. I can't say some of the things that people have shared with me. I wish I wouldn't, but I'm all ears. And actually, you know, being part of what we do gives them it gives them something else to do, something to think about. And also cost of living, we do reward people. So it's also about getting out, reconnecting with people, connecting up. There's small amounts of money available, really small. People who said, I don't want that, I'd rather get a taxi, or I'd rather we went for lunch. So people being really creative around what they want, which is great. We're going to the Houses of Commons and we're having afternoon tea in October. For example. So yeah, anybody, just refer over to me. I'll take anybody.
Excellent. That's useful. Good. Because it makes people feel more, it builds confidence as well if they're involved in things, doesn't it?
Yeah. Especially in their health services. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
I think Charlie had a question in the chat, which was around how the co-production event went. And then I think we'll move on to Josie just because of time. But yeah, if you could share.
So the co-production event was full. We could have filled the room. We could have filled it so many times. The feedback was immense. People really want the community of practice. The information that came from the event. So the event was on the 6th of July. We could write a whole book actually. So I'm kind of like sifting out the good parts. We've got enough information to develop a community of practice based on that event, which was what we wanted. And the reflections were people really want to see and hear more. They want to see and hear from people who are not people doing the work, people that are on the ground supplicant in, or, you know, the lived experience, people that are doing it for themselves. That was a definite 100%. They want to see that. They want to be involved with somewhere where we can share and hold work together. And definitely people want to start working collaboratively. So that was my 3 things from it. So But there's a whole lot of work going to happen. I'll share it with you, especially Charles and anybody else. Thanks for listening to me. I really appreciate sharing it. I really do.
That was really interesting, and your enthusiasm came across, which was great. Sorry, John, to interrupt.
No.
If I can't be enthusiastic, I just can't get up in the morning. So that's me. Right.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Caroline, again for coming along at short notice. And I will share the slides in the newsletter for everyone who can attend. So that was great. Thank you. Josie, you're up next.
Right, we might be a bit more than 10 minutes. Do you want us to defer to another day, or should I just plough on?
No, we've got the meeting until 5:30. So
right,
so,
and also presenting with me is Dorothy Ollock as well. So she'll be stepping in. We thought we'd share it out between us. So but first of all, I just want to say thank you to Yola and Caroline for really interesting presentations. It's really good to hear about what other people do, and to John for organising these, because if I can't come to the meetings, I always make a point of reading through, because it's just amazing how much stuff is going on out there. It's just good to know. You don't know about it otherwise if you don't have something like this. So, right, I shall stop wasting time because I'm nervous. I can do this. Hold on a sec. Will the magic work? Oh, no. I've done show and share slides. It's not coming up. Okay, let's try something.
We can see it.
Oh, you can. Oh, yeah, it's there. I can't. I'm the one that needs to see it, to read it, and I can't. Here we go. Right. I need to go back to the top because we were just... Oh, and I thought I had practiced this. It was meant to be so smooth.
It's all right, don't worry.
It's all a learning process, isn't it?
I feel you, Josie. I feel you.
That's why I was trying to sort of comfort you. It's like, yeah. Oh, I'm so annoyed. I had it all sorted. Here we go. Right. We're getting there. Right. My name's Josie Crisp, and I work for Hackney Council. I work for tenants. Well, I work in the tenancy sustainment team. And we're part of, which is a funny title, the P2P team. So I'll give a quick bit of flash background. People come to Hackney and present as homeless or potentially homeless. And the P2P team work with them before they actually become homeless to try and get them into homes. I think everyone here should be aware of the message that's getting out is that we don't have well, we do have, but they're like hen's teeth, council properties. So the majority of people will end up in going back into the private rented sector. So to secure people who have come through the homelessness route, private sector properties, we have to, well, we offer landlords incentives to get them in there, and we have fixed terms contracts, normally for 2 years. So once we've paid that money to get them in there, we want to try and keep them in there for their benefit as well as ours. I mean, we've invested money in getting the property, but, we don't want people going into a tenancy that then fails, because that's just not nice for them either. So our job at tenancy sustainment is to try and sustain the tenancy. Okay, so on the team, there's 3 of us, myself, Dorothy, who you'll meet in a minute, and Olu, who is on leave at the moment. You would love to have done this, I know. So that's who we are. And this is pretty much what we do. It's quite straightforward on paper, but it can be very complex. So we help clients maintain their tenancy. We help with benefit claims, PIP claims. When I say help with, we don't fill the forms in. We try and encourage and support them to do it themselves, or we make sure they go somewhere where they can get the help. For example, the CAB have a facility for filling in forms, and I refer people to Age UK for PIP, because they have more detailed knowledge of what, how to fill those forms are quite important to get right. So so we liaise with internal, external bodies to get the full picture. So that could be any of you sitting there now that we might, you might contact us and say, I've got this person struggling, can you help them? Or I might contact you and say, this person's, been told us that they've been dealing with you. So we would try and join up with as many other people as we can to get the problem solved. We have lots of people with mental health issues, people fleeing domestic violence, just really vulnerable people. So we cover a wide spectrum, and they can have lots of different issues going on. So it's not just about the homelessness. It's not just about keeping them in tenancy. It's just giving them as many tools and as much support as they can have around that, because that can often help someone to deal with problems if they're getting support. So we link in support workers. We're there also to say to landlords, right, let us have your property and we'll put this person in there, and we'll give you access to our tenancy sustainment team. So if things start going wrong, you can contact tenancy sustainment and they'll do everything they can to help you, the landlord, and with the tenant to sort out any problems. So that is like a bit of a selling point, because it's so difficult to get landlords to work with us, especially at the moment. I think everyone knows about rent shooting up and this, that and the other. So and we have to get them into affordable properties, which is generally at the benefit levels. So we've got to do everything we can to entice landlords to work with us. So we have to manage expectations of what we can and can't do. We can't force tenants to do things. We're just a tool to try and get them to do what they need to. And we make sure landlords follow proper procedures, managing tenants' expectations, making sure they're aware of duties and responsibilities of the tenant. You can all read the slides later, or ask me any questions. I don't want to go on too much, but I probably will. Okay, a quick case study, which Dorothy is going to tell us about. So over to you, Dorothy.
Good afternoon, all.
Hello.
Yeah, so I'm going to go briefly on the case studies of some of the cases that we have been through. We have, in this case, we have a tenant who we had to do a 2 years check on the tenants if they're still in the property. And we found out that with this one particular tenant, he was still in the property, but we also found out that they were in rent arrears. And on talking with them and finding out more about the cause of rent arrears, why they incur rent arrears over the period of 2 years, we found out that their housing benefit was suspended. So we liaised with the housing benefit officers to find out the reason behind the suspension, and we helped the tenant to provide all the information that was needed at the time, and we found out that the landlord had changed. So in order for us to change the landlord so that to allow the housing benefit to the suspension to be lifted, we had to get the landlord bank details, fill in the form, send it to control team, and once they updated the landlord records, the payment was made, the arrears was cleared, and the tenant stayed in the property. So that's how, this is part of small areas, how we help the tenant to sustain their tenancy. Next slide, please, Josie. Yeah, so we also, in the process, we also found out that the tenant has bipolar, and we had to, which was the reason why in the previous tenancy we had, because of rent arrears, he was attempting to have suicide thoughts, and we tried to prevent him going back to that again. So we had to deal with it, not only solving the problem with clearing the rent arrears, but also make sure that we do the correct referral. He was referred to a social worker, Debbie Branson, who referred him to the Engage Hackney. We follow up. We don't just refer cases and leave it. We follow it through, and we found out that the Hackney Engage tried to communicate and keep the communication with the tenant, and they were not able. They were not successful, so they closed the case. But the engagement line open because we know that they're still in the property, And if they need any assistance, we are here to help. So we keep that line of communication open. And we also try to make sure that the communication between the tenant and the landlord is always running smoothly. And we do come in if there's any issue, there's dispute, there's issue with rent arrears, issues with claiming benefits, like Jesse mentioned above. We also try to refer them to universal credit if they have problem with universal credit. We get involved, we liaise with universal credit officers and try to help the tenant to sustain the tenancy so that they don't come back to us. Next slide, please, Jesse.
Hi. Well done, Dorothy. Thanks for that.
Okay. We also did, we carried out projects whereby we review the tenants who have moved in the property, who have been there for between 6 and 18 months. We carried out a review and we found out that at least 85% of those tenants were still in the property, which clearly shows that what we are doing is successful. And we also did a project on 24 months, contacting each and every tenants that we help settled into private rented accommodation. And 60% are still in the property after 24 months. 20% have moved on. And the reason they moved on is due to various reasons. Some of them positive, most of them positive. They move on to a better place, or some move outside of Hackney, move outside of London to bigger accommodation for better school, better accommodation, cheaper accommodation, affordable accommodations. And some of them came back to Hackney into temporary accommodation. Again, this is because of various reasons. And some of them needed more support than others. So they want to stay within the family network for support. So those are, you know, briefly, this is what we do. You know, we try and keep liaising with the residents and shareholders, everybody involved. So we get a lot of communication links and organizations that we try and use to support the tenants and make sure that they sustain successful tenancy. Yeah, that's all I can say at the moment.
That's excellent. Thank you, Dorothy. And I was just going to throw in another quick case study here, just so you get a flavour again of what we do. So this lady had been 12 years in a private rented property. Oh, hi, Caroline. Did you want to? You popped your hand up.
On mute.
Sorry. Did I read that right? Is that Hartlepool?
I'm just coming on to that, actually.
Oh, sorry.
All right, don't worry. We sort of went back and forwards on the slide, so don't worry. Yeah, this is quite an interesting one. This lady with her partner and 3 children have been in a private rented property for 12 years and was then the landlord wanted the property back, so she got the notice to quit, etc. So it went through the P2P team, which I've forgotten what that stands for, but anyway, they're the ones that help people before they become homeless if they can. So she went to view several private rented properties. The rents were quite high. They were above the local housing allowances, with what they get on benefits, and she didn't like them. And so she ended up in temporary accommodation in October 22. She didn't like the temporary accommodation, but that's not uncommon. Unfortunately, again, with temporary accommodation, it's really hard to get landlords to work with us and give us their properties. So we have to just use what we can get. It's not always ideally suited to the family. That's where you get all those horror stories about, you know, a whole family in one room. Obviously, we try and avoid that as much as we can, but sometimes it can't be. But anyway, so she wasn't happy there. But we were still working with her to move on from temporary accommodation. That is the key aim, to get people out of temporary accommodation to something more secure for their benefit and for the councils, because it's expensive having people in TA. So we referred her to Bridge Housing. Now, Bridge Housing's a very useful organisation that searches for reasonably rented properties, so housing associations, affordable rents, mainly outside of London. So housing association properties that are vacant and need tenants. So, oh yeah, here we go. So she was offered a property in Hartlepool, which was a housing association, so a really reasonable rent. I mean, mind-bogglingly cheap. I can't remember the cost for her. And I think it was 3 bedrooms, so 2 kids sharing, 1 kid their own room, and the parents. So that's, you know, unachievable almost in Hackney at an affordable rate. She went and viewed the property, so she had full opportunity to look around the area, look at the property, you know, decide whether she wanted to go for it, and she decided she did, which was brilliant, it seems. So she got lots of help around the removal costs. We paid incentives to get the property, etc., etc. Then this is when it came to tenancy sustainment. So basically, this woman took up virtually every day for about 3-4 months, and a lot of phone calls and things, which I don't mind. It's what I do and it's what I enjoy doing. But she was in a really emotional, hysterical state. I think the reality of moving out of London away from family had hit in, and she just wanted to come back to London. The problem being that, you know, she'd accepted the property, she'd viewed it, we'd paid the incentives, and she'd signed a tenancy agreement for 2 years. So my job in this case was not to try and get her back to London, but to work with her to get her to feel at home, comfortable, get used to the area, at least give it a fair chance, because she was talking to me about 2 weeks into the tenancy. I think everyone here knows that moving is really stressful. Doesn't matter who you are, but especially to a new area. So a couple of things happened to her that did, you know, I did everything I could with my manager. I kept badgering him to see if there was a way we could get her back to London, but I kind of knew in my heart it wasn't going to be an option. But I always try and push buttons just to see, but it did, you know, it ended up a different way. So her husband and son, she told me, had been attacked. So obviously, if they were at threat of violence, that would have been a good reason to move them back. But when I looked into it further, I got police reports, I got the ambulance reports, and the attack was not, I mean, it's horrible being attacked. It's not nice. I'm not saying that, but it was an isolated incident, the police felt, and that the family actually weren't at any direct risk, you know, so it was just a one-off incident. She said that she then, and I don't blame her for this, she threw every trick in the book at me to try and sort of, you know, tweak my things. She didn't realise I was doing everything I could to get her back, but she was pushing me to that anyway. So it's about listening, feeding back, but giving support, but you know, getting the whole story. So she was saying that her husband had forced her to move there, and that after she moved in, she said that he'd moved out and abandoned her. And I kind of I linked up with a support worker there, and between us, we worked out that he was actually still there. So, you know, I don't blame her. She's just trying, you know, who wouldn't try their best? But you just got to try and link up with other people and just get the whole picture, the overall, you know, get to the truth of it. She was feeling isolated and she needed constant support and contact. So I was literally ringing her every day. Plus, because I didn't know for sure that the husband wasn't still there. It was over Christmas and I felt really worried about her. She was really distressed. So I've rang her every day. I linked her up with a Hindu temple for a mother and child group and other support. They took her food parcels. Social care team and I worked together. She was telling me the kids hadn't got a school place, but I found out that they did. You know, she was telling me she couldn't leave the property, but then I found out she was taking the kids to school every day. So again, you know, like I said, I don't blame her, but I have to find out what the truth is and work with that. So I won't go on anymore. And I think I've gone, yeah. So basically, it was a lot of work with this woman, but I kept going on, you know, kept talking to her, and I kept saying, look, let's try this, let's try that, try and make you feel happy here, da 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 da. And when she kind of realized that this was what it was, and once the kids were in school, once she admitted to me that her husband was still there, we had a really friendly relationship despite everything. She settled in and she's still there, and actually she's really liking it. And I didn't hear from her for about 6 weeks, and I've kind of let it drift because, let her take up the reins, as it were, and get on with it. And then out of the blue, I got a call from her saying, I really want to thank you. We're so happy here now. It was so difficult when we moved, and you really saw me through it and you supported me. And I'm really pleased we made the move now. I'm so glad we didn't go back to London, blah, blah, blah. So do you know what? That made me so happy. So just overall, we do deal specifically with people that were going to be homeless, and then we've secured them private rented. But, if you've got anyone that you're working with who's at threat of homelessness, who's worried about something, or you just want a bit of advice, just contact me and I'll do the best I can to help you or nudge you in the right direction. So thanks, guys. Sorry, hope it wasn't too long.
It's great. Thanks, Josie and Dorothy. And those, it's always good to get to case studies to sort of bring it to life, isn't it? And they really show the sort of long-term nature of the work, I guess, the sort of perseverance and all the hard work that goes into it. So that was really, really great. And thanks again for coming along at such short notice. Does anyone have any questions for Josie or Dorothy?
That was great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. It's not easy work, and it seems like you really did a really great job for that woman.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done, family, and thank you for that offer, because I often hear I often do hear of people at risk of homelessness quite a lot, because I go out in places no one else will go. So thank you, Josie. I will keep you to that. Thank you.
No, do, because we do have a specific remit, but my attitude is we're all of us, every single one of us here is, doing the best we can. We're one unit in a way, aren't we? Even external bodies, we're all working towards helping people as much as we can. And if I've got a bit of knowledge that can help you, someone you're helping, it all links in. And if I can't help you, Hackney, any council is quite complex. I can give you directions to the right place to go for the right help at least. So
that's really good. Thank you.
No worries.
Question in the chat from Atia. Can P2P help a disabled tenant seeking a transfer?
We don't specifically deal with that. There is, are they in private rented or are they in council properties? Sorry. In housing association. To be honest, their first point of call would be the housing association to see if they have a mutual exchange scheme. That would be their best first port of call. They can come and talk to, if you've got a housing association property, it's best to hold on to it because it is affordable rent, secure tenancy, so you don't want to end up in the private sector. I would have to talk to you a little bit more specifically about that, because it would be, if you want to email me about that one, we can have a proper talk about it, because I need to know a bit more information. It may be that there's not much help we can offer, because they're not potentially homeless, they're in a home. But if the accommodation is really unsuitable, there may be little ways around that. But it is really hard to get move on in those situations unless you can find a mutual exchange. I will give you the tenancy sustainment. It's easy. It's tenancy sustainment at hackney.gov.uk. And if you just put for the attention of Josie, that's a shared email that myself, Dorothy and Olu have. So if you just put for the attention of Josie at the top, then that I'll pick it up. But obviously, I can't be inundated with them. If it gets too much, I'll tell you all off. But I am, if you have got people, I will do my best to help. Have I spelt that right? Tenancy statement at Hackney. Yeah, I think so. There you go.
Perfect. Thanks, Josie.
Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Any other questions for Josie or Dorothy? No? Okay. Well, we've got about a quarter of an hour left. This is kind of, we usually open it up at this point to the floor. If anyone's got any questions, or maybe it's like about a particular case that comes up quite a lot. People often are working with a resident and not sure what to do, or not sure where to get like a particular sort of support, and then sometimes they get lucky and someone on the call knows what the answer is. So if you've got any particular problems you're working with and want to see if anyone can help, then now's your chance. Or any other emerging trends from your work, or anything else you want to share about what you're doing at the moment, now's your chance. Tracy, did you want to come in?
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to just kind of like give a shout out really for something that Shelter's doing on the 22nd of August. It's a workshop for professionals, and it's just going to give a brief overview of housing awareness. So it's really basically going to be to provide an overview of the homeless law and how to support your service users if they're experiencing or at risk of homelessness, because quite often we can't see everybody who's referred to our service. So we want to try and run these workshops to other professionals in the local area. So if a client has quite a low level housing problem, that you feel confident advising them. So if anybody's interested in attending, it's going to be online. It's only going to be for about an hour and a half, I believe. I think the time is from 10:30 until 12. If anybody's interested, just drop me an email by next Thursday, and then I'll send you out the link for it. I'll put my email in the chat.
Great, thanks, Tracy. If you want to, you can send it across to me if you want, and I can put it in the newsletter I send out.
Okay.
Which I'll do next week. When's the deadline, did you say, for sort of
so the workshop is on the 22nd of August. The deadline to let me know if you want to attend is going to be next Thursday, so it's like the 17th. Yeah,
if I get the newsletter out before next Thursday, then I'll include it. So yeah, if you want me to, just send me across the blurb and the link and all that sort of thing.
All right, that'll be great. Thanks.
Perfect. Caroline, did you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks. Or just a sort of housing issue, really. Two young people, brothers, 16 and 17-year-old, have run away from their home. There's obviously issues. I'm not going to disclose these issues here. They reached out to me, which I'm glad for, but not. And I wondered, what's my first point of call? Do I advise them to go to Children's Services at Hackney?
They're 16 years old.
16 and 17-year-old, yeah.
17. You can do a child social referral through the site. If you log on, sorry, I'm not being very articulate. It's a come down from talking so much. You can do a vulnerability. You can do a referral. I'll send you the link. Also, you could advise them to go to housing option. Well, the greenhouse.
Our MASH service too.
Yeah. You step in, Genevieve, because you've got some.
Oh, that's right. I was just going to say the MASH service.
They do, but there's no one to advocate for them.
MASH at Hackney will pick that up.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
MASH at hackney.gov.uk.
Great.
So I think that's the referral I was meaning.
Yeah.
Thanks. Or
are they homeless? Are they sleeping on the streets, or do they have somewhere to sleep? Or
no, they've got nowhere to sleep. Last night, I won't tell you where they were last night and where we found them this morning.
Right. You can
at the Arsenal ground.
You can refer to Thames Reach as well. They have a what's it called, Genevieve?
Thames Reach. Okay.
Go and you can report people sleeping rough to them, and they'll
Oh
go.
no, that's Street Link.
Street
Okay.
Link.
Oh, Thames Reach. Yeah, no, I've got them. Yeah, yeah.
Is it worth them going to the greenhouse, Genevieve?
Yeah,
do you
but
think?
Is it a family?
Street
Is it a
Link-
family or a single person?
Two brothers.
Two boys, two
Two
brothers.
boys.
16,
both
17.
under 18.
Under 18?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would go, they're minors, they're children, straight
Yeah.
away to MASH.
MASH.
Masha. Great.
And there's if you Google it, there's an out of hours
Don't
number
bother
too.
with the greenhouse because they're under 18. We would
Yeah,
go, they're minors, they're children.
Could they go to this to present at Hackney Service Centre as and ask for children's services?
Yes, they
Yes.
could. Yes.
Right, all right.
Yeah, it's good when
But
we
we don't want to leave it till that. I'm wondering. Call the fast number. Let me give you the fast number.
Great.
Oh,
thank you.
5500. So it's 0208
Yeah.
356
Yeah.
5500.
Oh, well, thank you, everybody.
you've got a verbal action there of what would happen behind the scenes. I would have gone to Genevieve and Michelle. And they go to greenhouse. And Genevieve go, no, Mash. So
Thank you. It's amazing what people reach out to you for. Amazed. But thanks, everyone. Appreciate that.
Co-production and collaboration.
yeah, we all
I
went.
just, I feel like they're little. Anyway, thank
No,
you.
Just to let you know, I got that information from my colleague sitting opposite me. So we had a good domino effect going on here.
It's a real
I
team.
can't take all the credit, okay?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I just
Teamwork.
want to make the last reminder that I put a post in the chat here regarding a yellow heat sweep activation is in effect till Sunday.
Yeah.
Temps are due to rise to 26 Celsius. So be aware, be informed. There are links also on how to follow guidance, but also how to keep yourselves hydrated and aware.
Yeah. I
Thanks.
thought it was getting hot. I'm feeling hot now.
That sounds
No comment.
great. Great collaboration, as you said, Michelle, with that case. Does anyone have any other questions or feedback, or anyone got any ideas for things they want to hear more about in these sessions? Any sort of organisations you're not sure what they do, or particular groups of residents you're sort of concerned about and you feel there might be a gap there, or in your knowledge, or just in the general provision? Then let me know. Janice, did you want to come in?
Yes, it was just a quick word, no questions. It was just to say a massive thank you, John, to both yourself and Penny, because we've been able to get this mobile phone for the vulnerable resident, and I will be picking it up tomorrow. So a massive thank you, because I couldn't have done it without you guys. Thank you.
No problem at all. I would just, putting you in touch with Penny. So thanks, Penny and Idias for sorting that one out. It's really good.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Brilliant. That's really good to hear as well, Janice, that person's getting the phone. Anyone else want to come in? Josie, you've still got your hand up. Is that a new hand? And you're on mute.
I am on mute. I think quite a few people wish I had a mute button on me.
I
was just thinking, like with Caroline's question, it's really good to have this sort of format where there's lots of people we all can give put our heads in. So it might, maybe if people bring along things like that as well for the last bit of the meeting. So obviously confidentiality, blah, blah, but I've got this person who, has anyone got any ideas, would be a good use of time.
Yeah, I agree. And that's actually what sort of tended to happen the last few of these meetings, is that when I sort of at the end, it is often a sort of a specific case that someone's working on. Like you say, I think, because obviously I record these meetings as well. So maybe if we do that as a sort of standing item, I'll sort of stop the recording before we go into that bit. But I think just like the example just then, like it's just so much more efficient, isn't it, when you just got people in the same room from across the different services in the council. Things that will probably take 20 emails popping around, people are too busy, etc. People sat down. It just makes all the difference in the world. So I think that's like a really good part of this meeting. So happy to think about whether it can be a sort of standing item maybe. Penny, I think you were first. Do you want to come in?
Hi. Yeah, I'm just wondering if anyone would be interested in hearing a presentation from Showerbox I don't know if you've heard of them.
No.
I haven't, no.
Trying to collaborate with them at the minute. Her name's Sarah Lamptey, and she's also a presenter on not ITV, Morning Live. She's just got an MBE for the charity, and they're currently operating from St Giles, Tottenham Court Road. It's basically portable showers that are able to be moved around, and they reached out and asked us if we would like one of the spare trailers for free, but we would have to then get permission from Hackney Council and decide where it would be positioned. And what I did offer as an alternative, because it's a lot to take on, obviously we're a food charity, we also do different things, services, but then going into doing showers for people when we would be a lot for us to take on. So I said if I could introduce her to present on one of these calls, maybe someone in the community in Hackney, any organisation might have the car park space where the shower box could be, and it could just be once a month. And then she said she can provide her own volunteers and support, because there's a lot of her volunteers from Hackney, and obviously I can email the details across and she can present herself, but they also give free it's mainly for the homeless, so anyone that needs a shower that day, and they have free underwear, free shower gel, shampoo, and it's just a very quick and efficient service, where last week I think they give 63 showers in one day. So I just think it's amazing, and I can't believe we haven't got anything like that in Hackney yet, and we'd love to help anyone set up that, so we can send our beneficiaries to you, or if we can get it set up first, you can send your people to us. So yeah, just a bit of sharing of the knowledge of it. If anyone's interested and John's happy with it, she can present.
Yeah, sounds great. If you want to email me and CC her, and then I can take it from there. But yeah, that sounds really good. So definitely happy to put that on the agenda. So yeah, just ping me an email.
Brilliant, thank you.
Nice one.
Just quickly, sorry, John. I think,
yeah.
Penny, have I got it right that they currently also operate at St Giles for North London Action for the Homeless as well? So they so you don't get that referral as a suggestion.
Yeah,
that's the one place they do go to
I
in
don't know
London.
if they work with them or if they're just in the same location, but they're currently outside of a church on Tottenham Court Road. But I can't remember if they're in partnership with someone. But
so is this a different St Giles? Because there is St Giles of the West. So I can't remember the exact name of the church. Run a food bank, a meal on Mondays and Wednesdays on St Newton High Street.
All right.
I'll put them in touch with you then on that.
Said Tottenham Court Road, and it was on a Saturday, so maybe it is a separate thing. I'm not familiar with St Giles, so I'm not too.
Sounds different. I'll pop you an email, Penny.
Excellent, thank you.
Brilliant. Who was that? Neil, I think you were next.
Oh, in a spirit of niceness, let Michelle go first, because I don't really want to follow that really great idea with what I'm going to say.
It's like the baton's been passed on to you, Michelle. Do you want to come in?
I just wanted to say that's a fantastic idea with the showers. We did used to have showers at the greenhouse pre-COVID for males and females and towels, but that's all changed now. But we do have, don't know if you've heard Driving for Change. Has anybody heard that? No? So it's an initiative run by the Change Please Foundation. We offer practical support, guidance and vital services to people experiencing homelessness. So they have oral health, haircuts, NHS nurse, help to be able to open a bank account if you have no fixed abode, digital and finance literacy assistance, employment support and essential everyday items, and support and help to access services. I don't know if you want me to scan that to you, John, or...
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And then we can either discuss it or whatever at the next one.
Brilliant. Penny, I see your hand's still up.
Thursdays they're at the Hackney Town Hall, and also to let you know that going forward, the greenhouse will be moving to a new building where we will be having showers like we had prior. But that's still good that we've got the shower box. But I'm going to shut up now.
I just put the shower box thing in there as well. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks, Michelle. Neil, did you want to come in?
Yeah, so moving tack completely away from what you'd say is helping residents, I just wanted to sort of say, obviously we're in this group as well, and picking up with Josie, the great work they're doing with the tenants and that stuff is that obviously for those of you who read the media, and I'm coming from the revenues team, so collecting council tax is one of the things my area work on. Can I just ask that I know it's a tough conversation to have with the residents, but can we get that as part of the conversation as well? Because we will help. We're not mean, horrible ogres. Well, I am, but the team aren't. So I know it's not everyone's primary function, but we do have a rather big black hole in the finances due to cyber. And anything you can help us to help us engage with those hardest to reach residents would be much appreciated. And as I say, we really do work to help them. I'm not just paying lip service to that. We've got the Money Hub team who sit alongside and provide really great support. We've got the benefits team. So alongside all the great work everyone's doing, and this is where following pennies, it seems somewhat trite. They're trying to help people homeless, which is much more. But if we can, every extra bit we can collect from those who have an ability to pay will enable us to help those who can't pay even more. So yeah, that's my sales pitch for my area. And yeah, feels a bit crass following such good stuff, but hey, there we are.
Not at all. Thanks, Neil. Josie, did you want to come in?
Yeah, I was just going to say that's a perfectly valid point, Neil. Do you know what I mean? And that's part of us all linking up, because John will know that I do try and I work with council tax reduction. I try and get that into payment where I can as part of our tenancy sustainment as well. So again, if you've got someone, you can always ping it to me and I'll have a quick look at it. I was helping Mike Bartlett with one, or Bonnie, who works with him, the other day. So as long as I'm not overwhelmed, I'm happy to do as much as I can. So I've got access to the benefit system, so I can check there if there's a claim, if there's something waiting, within confidentiality, blah, blah, blah.
And good to know Mike's already reached out to you.
Oh, Mike knows me very well. I used to tease him quite badly. John always used to come in and do no work and create havoc, but there you go. Jonathan.
Sorry to cut. We've got 1 minute left. I think I did see a hand pop up, but I think it's now gone down. So I'm assuming that was a mistake. Oh no, Basia, do you want to come in really quickly? We've got 1 minute. Oh, it's gone back down. Okay. Okay, we're going to wrap up there, guys. That was a really great meeting. 3 excellent presentations and lots of great opportunities for collaboration. So yeah, thanks for all of your input. It's very much a collaborative effort, this meeting. And yeah, always great to see you all. And do let me know if anyone else on the call wants to present, or you've got ideas for other people you want to put on the spot and present. Always happy to try and arrange that. So we're going to wrap up there and go and enjoy some sun, I think. All right, cheers, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, John.
Thanks all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You.
Bye.